It's that chronic stress that poses significant dangers and risks to our health. So understanding this connection is key to managing stress efficiently and maintaining our overall well-being. So everyone's heard of cortisol as being our stress hormone. And so cortisol specifically has its purpose. It does help us when we do have a stressor to help us overcome the stressor. And it does have a specific rhythm we want in our life, in our bodies. It creates a natural fluctuation throughout the day, and it's supposed to peak in the morning. So when the sun rises in the morning, that's when you want your cortisol level to peak. You want it to match with the sunrise because cortisol is what's going to stir you up in the morning. That's the highest peak it should reach during the day. And that's what helps you get out of bed and boost your day to start. Overall, in the afternoon, we do want to see it gradually decline, allowing for us to enter into more of a relaxed and sustained focus state. And then by the time we hit evening time, our cortisol levels are supposed to be at the lowest state, preparing our body for restful sleep and crucial repair, because sleep is where we have that good cell rejuvenation and turnover to allow healing in our bodies to recoup. But disruptions to this rhythm can then significantly impact our overall health. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is our different stress responses. So understanding our cortisol stress hormone, we know it's produced in our adrenal glands, and there's an axis that we call the hypothalamus pituitary axis that plays a crucial role in our stress response systems. So it impacts everything in the body, our metabolism, and we'll talk more about that shortly. And it helps us to adapt to stressors. That's normally what we want it to do. So understanding this natural rhythm is essential for us managing stress effectively, and can also help us understand when we are dysregulated. So when we look at this chart here, we see now this first point is 6 a.m. Around that time, between 6 and 7 a.m. when the sun rises, again, we want to see our own cortisol levels, and this is testable. We do have tests that can show people's specific cortisol levels, but we see it spiking by noon. At lunchtime, we definitely want to create this curve here. And then again, 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., that's the point where we want to see less. So this is what a cortisol pattern for someone that doesn't have dysregulation looks like. So we see here, these people, they wake up refreshed, they go throughout their day, and they have plenty of energy, plenty of mental focus. And this is the normal stress pattern that we'd like to see. When things start to get a little dysregulated because stress becomes more chronic, we can see other stress patterns and stress types. So you can see here with this particular individual, they're having a heightened cortisol response, so a hyper response, where in the morning, rather than that between 6 and 7 a.m. spike, now we're seeing this might be more like a 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. spike. So it spikes up pretty high. It's a hyper response, but it's not so dysregulated because during the day, we can see it still has that nice curve. But if you can tell, their cortisol levels, though, are still higher. Their baseline is still a bit higher than what we would want to see because they're having a heightened response. This next pattern here, this is where we really see a hypercortisol response. So lots of stress happening. It peaks early, but it never comes down. It stays elevated all day. So that's telling us this individual has a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and it's a hyper response. Now, if you maintain that over a long period of time, you can move into more of a hypo response, where now you can see in this picture, we're looking at the red line, by the way, for the irregularities. So in the morning, there's no spiking. So this is someone who's, crawling out of bed in the morning, exhausted. Midday, they might start to feel a little bit of a pick-me-up, but then come evening time, when it should be rest time, these individuals have a burst of energy. They're like, I don't know why, at nighttime, I just start to peak and I have more energy, which then creates this cycle of dysregulated sleep. And again, sleep is where we have lots of healing happening. And so that's that hypo at first, but a hyper response in the evening. And then lastly, when we move and progress more into this cortisol hypo response, this is where we see the red line flattens. And this is where, if you've ever heard somebody talk about adrenal fatigue, this is what this looks like. There's no spiking. These people have really hit a wall and they have absolute adrenal fatigue.